Hey, gorgeous, and welcome back to the Influence Over 40 podcast. I'm really excited that you're here today. This is actually a little bonus episode and something that's a little different from what I have normally talked about. So normally we kind of keep it to business type things. I've done some mindset type work. I'm all into the woo, so you definitely will hear that kind of thing from me. But I'm also a 48. Am I 48? I'm 48. I'm also a 48-year-old woman, and with that comes additional problems, issues, and things that I don't feel like today are being talked about enough. And so I really wanted to kind of just share some of my journey with you. And if you haven't reached this age of life yet, what you can expect, because I am telling you, it is not for the faint of heart. Being a woman is hard. So let's kind of talk about that a little bit. First of all, I'll say it is a different generation, right? So my age that I am now is a very different age than when my mother was 48 years old. And what I mean by that is I think that we're not talking about it a whole lot now. It definitely wasn't talked about back then. And I can't remember my mother ever really talking about whether it's perimenopause, menopause, hormones, any of that, which to me is kind of crazy. Now, my mother passed away 10 years ago, so I it's not something that I can go back and talk to her about now. So when I do mention things about her, it's going to be my perception of that, kind of what I think happened, but I can't really say for sure because she's not here for me, to go ask those things to. But I think it's just really important because perimenopause is affecting so many of us and we don't even realize it. And it was affecting me before I realized it also. And I've only recently in the last probably year kind of gone into doing a little bit more research about it to find out, first of all, am I crazy? Like these symptoms that I'm having, am I crazy? Is it me? Am I crazy? And what I have found is that no, well, actually, yeah, I'm a little crazy, but not in this sense. So I think it's important because I didn't know about these things. There's a good chance that other women out there don't know about these things. And I want to just make sure that you feel seen and you feel heard and realize that no, it's not just you. You're not the only one going through this, that we are all going to go through it at some point in time. And that too, all of your feelings and the things that you're experiencing are very valid. They're very valid. Others are also experiencing it, but we do have ways to help with some of these issues, basically. And that's what they are. They're issues. So I'll start out just kind of telling you a little bit about me. So I started having symptoms. First of all, my husband and I tried to have children. We were second marriage for both of us, and it never worked out. So after I was about 37 years old, I had started talking to my OBGYN when I would go for my yearly once a year. I would tell him constantly, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. And I just don't feel like I have the energy to do things that I think I did, 2, 3, 4 years ago. And his answer always was to me is that, well, you're a mom. You're a full-time working mom. You are busy. Life is busy. Of course you're going to be exhausted. You need to exercise more. You need to probably eat better. You need to drink more water. And all of those things are absolutely true. And that probably would help some. But what I didn't realize at that time is that was the beginning stage of perimenopause. And what's really kind of sad and also sort of scary is that my OBGYN also didn't necessarily realize that. And one of my lights just went out, so the other one's going to go out soon as well. So that just is what it is. So, there was nothing offered other than, eat better, get more rest, drink more water, exercise, and you'll feel better. And I kind of was just like, okay, all right. I mean, I guess I'll do that. And I never really went to do any type of research for myself. So that was probably like 37. I would say I had that same complaint at 38, at 39. Finally, by the time I hit 40, the hormone replacement therapy, the HRT, had become something that was more, oh, there goes the other light, had become something that was being used more. And so while I had heard a little bit about it, I didn't know a whole lot. So by the time that I had gone to my yearly that year, he finally made the recommendation that, hey, why don't we go ahead and try these hormones? I know that for the last several years you've been talking about, being exhausted. Another thing that I also would be a reoccurring theory for me, or reoccurring issue for me, was that my sexual drive. I didn't feel as though I had the same sex drive that I had, years prior. And he was like, let's go ahead and try this therapy. I'm like, okay, well, tell me a little bit about it. So basically, what I did was the pellet therapy. And what happens with the pellet therapy is they have these little tiny pellets. They're literally probably not even an inch long. And they're formulated specifically for your body. And I am so sorry, guys. My dogs are going crazy. Okay, I can't guarantee that they're not going to bark again, but we're going to try this again for a few minutes. So the pellet therapy, so what happens is they draw your blood and they determine and go over all of your levels for all your different hormones. So they look at your estrogen, your testosterone, your progesterone. They pull everything, all of your cholesterols, your kidney, your thyroid levels, all of these particular things, because if anything is out of whack, they want to address that first prior to doing this particular therapy. So they drew all of that. Everything looked fine. And so just determined what particular levels I needed to get me back at, a baseline, or optimal at least. And they formulate these pellets, and they're really tiny little pellets, probably not even an inch long, almost like a little tiny micro eraser is what it looks like to me. It's so tiny. And they do a small incision in your butt, and they insert it into the butt muscle basically. And then what happens is you have your red blood cells, of course they attack anything or help heal wounds. So they surround that, encapsulate it, and your body heals up. And then that's what helps release that therapy, that hormone into your body. It's supposed to be a slow time release. However, it is, you are going to have a spike at the beginning. So that's kind of the whole procedure. It's very simple. It's done in their office. You'll have a little those little bandages that, the little strip bandages that they put across until you heal. You'll wear those for 3-4 days, something like that. You'll avoid, not getting in like a swimming pool or a hot tub or anything like that. You can still shower. And then you will have to make sure that, your exercise is limited. You're not doing like squats and something like that, because, until it's inserted good and make sure that it's in there, you could squirt it back out. That sounds so gross. I'm sorry. But I mean, you literally could. Anyway, that's the whole procedure side of it and what to expect. So there's very little downtime. You will have a little bit of bruising, and you might feel a little sore, but basically within about 3 to 4 days, you're back to your normal routine and keep it moving. So I started this, I think it was probably around 2016 or 2017 is when I tried this. And the first round for me was phenomenal. I'm talking, I definitely had a spike probably in the energy, and I felt better. And I will say, more so than anything, it helped with my sexual drive. I had a sexual drive and spark and want to again, which, that's a big deal, especially like if you're married, that's a huge deal. I mean, that's a whole nother episode that I could go into, but that's a big deal. So the first time the pellets were like, whoa, this is amazing. And the pellets last for somewhere around 3 to 4 months is typically how long that lasts. And they say that you can kind of start to tell when it's time to have them reinserted, because you really feel, those feelings that were really good that you loved, you'll kind of feel those start to die down, and it'll be time for reinsertion. So I did that the first time. It was really good. I did it the second time. I was like, this is not hitting at all. Now, what they do say that you should do is after a couple of weeks, like 3 weeks, if you're not feeling that you're getting the lift from it that you need, you should go back, let them redraw your blood. They'll compare, where your levels are. And if they're not quite right, do adjust it and insert a little bit more. Well, I didn't do that. I should have. That's bad. That's my bad. That's on me. That's my fault. So my second round was meh. And then my third round, again, I didn't do it again. Now, the reason I didn't is because I lived in Warner Robins at the point in time. I worked in Macon, and it was just on me. I didn't make time to go do it. And so I should have, because I think that probably would have made all the difference in the world. So the third round, it was okay, but it wasn't as good as the first time. And so because of the cost of it, what I was paying, and the second and third rounds, I didn't feel like I was getting out of it what I had hoped or what I had gotten from the first time. I just didn't feel like it was something that I should continue doing. Now, that, in my opinion, was a huge mistake for me, because I think had I stayed on that, all my other symptoms probably would have lessened the older I had gotten. But instead, I've definitely seen a drastic increase in all of my symptoms. And I'm going to go through all the symptoms that I have, and, some of the symptoms that are pretty common that you've probably heard about, and some that you may not have heard about. And I really think that would have helped. So fast forward until, 2 weeks ago, I went last week and had them inserted again. So this time I didn't go to my OBGYN. I went to a place here locally in town, and it's the same thing. You do meet with someone who's certified. It was a nurse practitioner, actually, and she they drew the blood. They looked at all the levels and everything, and ordered it through this company. The company that they use is called Biotite, I think is how you pronounce it. And they take all of your levels and they formulate it exactly for your particular body and what your body needs, and insert it. So I had that done last Tuesday, so a week ago today that I'm recording this, and all healed up. Everything's good. I got a bruise in my butt, but I'm back to regular exercising at the gym. Everything's fine and dandy. Now, they do say that they give you a list, of course, of how long, how many weeks probably before you start to see any type of increase. So it's only been a week. I've not noticed anything different at this particular point in time. But I am looking at that sheet and the time ranges that they're saying to kind of see. And if I'm not feeling it, I 100% will be going back and having them check my levels again. So just to kind of tell you, so for a woman my age, which is 48 again, the absolute minimum amount baseline that your testosterone should be is at a level of 60. Okay. And I don't know how that's measured, whatever. The optimal for a woman my age is 150. So that's a pretty big range. Well, when mine was tested, my testosterone was a 22. So you can imagine why I'm having some of all of these symptoms that I'm having, especially like the lack of sex drive. Like, seriously. So I'm really hoping to get a lift from that. But let me go ahead and just go through some of, the symptoms that I started noticing. So first of all, when I was in my 30s, my mid to late 30s, I started noticing that it was really came on with the exhaustion, the lack of energy and the exhaustion. And it was something different. I had always been a working mom. That had not changed. Nothing had changed in my life other than feeling exhausted. So there was really no reason to feel exhausted unnecessarily, basically. And so that was the first symptom that I had. The next symptoms that I started to notice several years after that, obviously thinning hair. That actually started in my late 30s as well. Lost a lot of hair, and I attribute it honestly to stress to begin with. At that point in time, I was on a Wellbutrin for like anxiety, depression. And that was, of course, one of the side effects. I mean, I think it's probably a side effect of every drug out there. And so I just kind of chalked it up to that. Looking back, it could have been that, but it also, I think it's probably just part of the perimenopause symptoms for me, my body personally, because I've been off of that Wellbutrin for well over 5 years now, and I'm still having the thinning hair. So I think that's probably a symptom for me, and it's a symptom for a lot of women. Obviously, you'll start noticing, and while your hair is thinning, you get these freaking hairs other places that you're not supposed to. So, have you ever heard the phrase, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin? Well, that happens, ladies. I'm very sorry to tell you, and I'm actually, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm making sure I don't have any little chin hairs now, but that's a thing. You're going to have a random hair here or there that you're just like, what on earth? Where did this come from? Why is this happening to me? You're not alone. That is what it is. So either pluck that baby, go get it waxed, shave it off, get electrolysis, whatever, method that you want to use for that. But that is a symptom that, you're going to have. Probably the other thing that I started noticing first was the texture of my skin changed. And I don't just mean in my face, I'm talking about all over my body. I feel like the texture of my skin changed. Is definitely, obviously more dry. I mean, older you get, you are going to lose that moisture in your skin, but it's just it's more dull. It's flakier. Like, I don't know how you can be so dry and so oily at the same time. And so oily, but yet still so dry. Like you just, the elastin, all of that, you lose that as you get older. And so I definitely started noticing, all the, changes to my skin taking place. And so I would say once I was over 40, the things that I started to really notice, the big thing for me was sex started to become painful. And that is not something, I know it's probably not something that you want to hear. It's not necessarily something I want to talk about, but it just is the way it is. And it's not for everybody. So let me just throw that out there. All these symptoms are not going to happen to every single person. Everybody is different. So for me, that is in fact one of the things that I first started noticing. Now, I've had a partial hysterectomy also, and it was the partial hysterectomy happened first, and then about a year and a half, something like that later is when I started to have feel that sex became painful. And I really didn't understand it, and I didn't know what it was. So finally, the next time that I went to see my OB, we talked about that, and he did his exam, and he said that my, the lining is thinning out of the pelvic area. And because it thins out, it's like paper, it's like tissue, like it'll just rip. You'll have these little tears. And when you are having sex, it is that friction and little tears in there. And that's what you're experiencing. And he said, the dryness also is causing the pain. And, you can use lubricants, obviously, but unfortunately, at this point in time, there's nothing that's going to be able to reverse the thinning of that. That's just the way I guess our bodies are made to work. Yay! So fun. But so that really sucks. But that is something that you might possibly experience. And I am hoping that maybe with the hormone therapy, so they gave me a teeny bit of estradiol, which is, your estrogen, one form of estrogen. They gave the testosterone. I think I got a progesterone supplement, or I guess pill to take as well. And as you have testosterone implemented, it is supposed to help produce some estrogen. So they don't want to do a ton of estrogen. Honestly, the reason they don't want to do estrogen is because there was a study done probably back in the 1970s that said there was a possible correlation between estrogen and breast cancer or cancers. And so that's really the reason that there's not been a whole lot of studies done. I mean, there are other reasons, obviously. They don't care about women as much, but that's, again, another episode. But because there have not been studies done, these doctors have basically all just gone based on this one study that estrogen could cause cancer. Well, yeah, it could cause cancer. And so can everything else that we have in our environments and put into our bodies. So, that is frustrating to be a woman and have the estrogen is what we need. The estrogen is what we're losing in our bodies that's causing all of this. And while our body was meant to go through this, it sucks and it's not fair. So we just have to be our own advocate to research these type of things and see if we can find, some ways that we can use supplements, use hormone therapies to try to counteract these particular things. So where was I before the dog started barking? So the painful sex, that was definitely probably the hardest thing to deal with. Since that time, I've started, and what's very interesting actually is you all probably know, if you've listened to the podcast, you know that I had a boutique and I closed the boutique almost a year ago. Well, it was not until I closed this boutique that I started having hip pain, like joint. It's like in my joint. Pain. And it started out with my right hip and it has slowly progressed to my left hip, but mostly my right hip is what hurts. And that is something that the hormone therapy helps with as well, because we lose bone density as we get older. And that's one thing that, you hear about the calcium and drink your milk, and, you need vitamin D3 because that's what helps produce bone. And there's a lot of different things that you need to do. Obviously, going to the gym, working out, that's one thing that can help supposedly with that. I have been in the gym and been pretty active, but still had that same hip pain. So I don't know if that works or not. I have heard recently that we are supposed to be lifting heavy as we get older. And I am going to check more into that because that's something I just recently heard literally in the last day or two. And maybe that'll be something that helps. So I am hoping that the hormones that have been put in are possibly help with that lubrication a little bit to help with that particular symptom for me. Other things that I've experienced that I really didn't realize were even related to this, but now after doing research, I do understand that. Dry eyes. It's crazy. I've worn contacts since I guess probably, I'm guessing like 8th grade. I mean, it's been a very long time that I've worn contacts, but within the last, I will say 2 to 3 years, I've noticed that my eyes get very irritated. They get very dry. I cannot wear my contacts all day long and all evening like I used to. I'm to a point where, at a certain point in the day, by like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm taking my contacts out for the night because my eyes are they're ready to pop out anyway because my eyes are dry and irritated. But that's just something that I've noticed as well. And that's definitely something that the hormone therapy is supposed to also help with. And that may be something else that you experience. Another thing that I think probably I experienced is brain fog. Just not being able to, remember a lot for one. I can't tell you what I did. I can't tell you what I ate yesterday. And it's frustrating because I've always been one that I never had to really write things down to keep up with things. I can recall it. And, I've worked my entire life. I had my own business. And so I always had a ton of things going on in my head, along with taking care of kids and stuff like that. So it's not like life has just gotten harder or different. It's just that my body is not producing the hormones that it needs to be able to work correctly. And, that brain fog is definitely something that you might possibly experience. And it's just, sometimes it's just being in a fog. It's like, you can't really wrap your head around some things. For me, I can't necessarily remember things like I used to. I can't concentrate as well as I used to. I used to be able to sit down. I mean, I could work all day long and work into the night with no problem. And now I'm definitely at a point where I got to call it quits. I'm done. I just can't concentrate the way that I used to on particular projects. Symptoms that I have not necessarily had are night sweats. I have experienced a couple. I've had a couple here and there. And when you talk, I'm not kidding, y'all. When we talk about night sweats, we're talking about you wake up soaked. It feels like you have just thrown yourself in a pool or been at the gym sweating it out. It is crazy. And I would not have believed it until I experienced it myself. And thank God I am not experiencing that on the regular basis. And I send all the thoughts and prayers and the good vibes for my fellow females that are experiencing that, because that is crazy to wake up feeling completely drenched. Your sheets are drenched. You got to change all that. Like, it's insane. I've had some friends who say they just go ahead and lay a towel down and sleep on a towel because of the night sweats. They're so bad. So all these hormones are supposed to help with that. The sleep, I am having sleep issues. I will say that's probably within the last year that I've experienced the it's not necessarily an insomnia for me. Maybe it is partly an insomnia, but I can get to sleep with no problem, but I can't stay asleep. I'm waking up 2 and 3 times a night, tossing and turning, or I have to get up and go to the bathroom. And then I'll have a more difficult time going back to sleep, but it's definitely not a good full night's sleep. And you need a good full night's sleep to be able, just to be able to keep going and function the rest of the day. So that is a problem. Now, I will say the progesterone that they prescribed for me is something that I take 15 days on and 15 days off. And that is supposed to help with the sleep. I'm going to try it the first time. If it helps, they will keep prescribing it for me. If it doesn't, then, no harm, no foul. It's not going to cause any issues by taking it or not taking it. It should hopefully help with some of that sleep issue. So I haven't started that round yet. When I do, I definitely will update you guys and let you know. Some other symptoms are, oh God, I don't even want to talk about this one. Weight gain. I mean, it is what it is. When you hear people talk about it, it is a real thing. It's either you start gaining weight around your midsection, which really sucks. I mean, we're probably most of us trying to lose weight majority of our life. And now you get to this stage in the game and it's like, it's just packing on no matter what you do, no matter what you eat, no matter how much you exercise, it will not move. And I'm not kidding you. So that unfortunately is a problem and it sucks. But again, with the hormone therapy, they say that should help with trimming, the waistline and helping with, losing, some of that stored fat that, sucks. Let me think if I've missed anything. I think that's the majority of the particular symptoms that I have had, and most of the symptoms that I've looked into. But you know what? It would not surprise me if you tell me you've got, so many other symptoms. I am not shocked in the least. But I really just wanted to do this because I wanted you guys to know, first of all, the ones that are younger than me, like hitting that 35 age range, like perimenopause, they don't tell you this anywhere. Nobody tells you this. This is like a 10 to 15 year deal, y'all. This is no joke. So I'm still in perimenopause. I'm not technically in menopause. Now, when do I hit menopause? I really have no idea. And nobody can tell you really. So, I'm just going to keep saying perimenopause for, as long as I can. It's kind of a running joke between my husband and I. He's like, oh my God, you got another symptom. It must be perimenopause. Oh my God, it's this. It must be perimenopause. And I'm like, yeah, shut up. Until you're a woman and you push another life out of you or you experience these type of things, I need you to shut up. And I don't need you to say anything because you have no clue. But I will tell you, so some of the people that I like following that are versed in this, I wanted to share those with you as well because I think that is important. I hope that you go out and do your own kind of research, but these are a couple of people that you definitely could look into. So the first one is Dr. Mary Claire, and I came across her, I believe it was either Instagram Reels or TikTok. Either way, you can find her at either of those places. And it's her name just spelled out, Dr. Mary Claire. So Dr. and then Mary, Mary, and Claire's Clair. And she is on either Instagram and TikTok. I'm sure she has a Facebook. I just haven't looked at it there. So I really like her because she is on a board of certified doctors that are certified in menopausal health. So she actually spearheaded this particular issue because she was like, at this particular age as well. And she's like, we don't know anything about it. We have no money going towards it. We're not doing any type of studies. This is not right. It's affecting a lot of women. It's because we're living longer. And we shouldn't be miserable while we are living longer. And, so she definitely is an advocate for this, and she has spearheaded this board of doctors that are certified in menopausal health. So you can go to menopause.org. On there, you can find a board certified. They have to go through a certification process with them. And once they are there, given a new, I don't know if it's the letters behind their name. I don't know if it's not an acronym, but anyway, if they're NCMP or NAMC, those are the letters. I'm sure there's a more appropriate name for that. Those are the letters for the certified menopause practitioner. And you can look for those. Now, what's great is on that menopause.org, you can look for one in your area. So I was like, mind blown about this, and I was so thankful for that. I looked it up, and I have one in my town, and so I am going to be making an appointment with her. She looks to be still accepting new patients, thank goodness. So I'm going to see if I can switch over to her rather than the OB/GYN that I have been going to, because one, he's a man, he doesn't know, and it's not his fault, I suppose, that he doesn't know. And they've even said in medical school, they're giving them probably about the equivalent of 1 hour of training on menopausal health. Y'all, what in the HE double hockey sticks? That's crazy. So I'm very interested to see what options she might give, because she might be a doctor who is willing to prescribe some estradiol versus, just offering testosterone, which most of the ones that you go to with the hormone therapy, that's what they're going to offer is the testosterone. And they're hoping that the testosterone put in your body is going to, your body's going to then start producing a little bit of estrogen. But when it comes down to it, we need more estrogen, and we need more than they're probably willing to give us right now. And I'm curious to go to this doctor and see if I can in fact get something more from her. Now, you don't have to do the hormone therapy. There are other methods. They have creams, they have patches. You do whatever is going to speak to you, work for you, because not everything works for everybody. I've had some people that have tried the pellets, and they felt like they wanted to stab their significant other. And obviously that's not a good side effect either. So you got to do what makes the most sense for you, obviously. I'm just kind of sharing my journey because I think that we just don't talk about it enough, and we need to do more of that. Now, this Dr. Mary Claire also has her own website. She has her own products too. So I'm always a little bit hesitant when I have people that are offering, their own things. But I've followed her on TikTok. I've looked at what she said. I've done some of the research myself, and it all makes complete sense. And I really do trust what she is telling me. And honestly, probably because she's one of the only that have been willing to do some of this work. And so that means a lot for me. So now her website is thepauselife.com. So it's pause, Pause, life.com. And she's got information on there. She's got her blog information on there. She's got Pause Care on there. So she has blog blog articles on all types of different things, what you should be asking when you go to your healthcare provider, maybe what you should know about these hormone therapies and different things like that. She's got this Galveston diet on here, Galveston diet on here. I don't know a whole lot about that. I've not necessarily looked at it, but it looks like it's probably something around helping with, fight like menopausal belly fat or, chronic inflammation, things like that. So she's got some stuff on that on there. And then she has her own supplements as well. Now, I have only tried her collagen, collagen, which is the collagen that you put into a drink. And the one that I got was the collagen skin and bone. She's got a couple of different, she's got a collagen, which is skin boost plus sparkle wellness. And then she's got a collagen skin and bone. I particularly went with the collagen skin and bone because I felt like the bone health, I'm at that age. That's what I need basically. So, but she's got all kinds of things on here. She's got omega-3 plus vitamin D and K2s. She's got combo packs. She's got fiber. She's got creatine, turmeric. So several different options on there. And she gives a real good explanation about why you need these particular things. And she really goes into detail on her Instagram Reels or her TikTok into these particular supplements and nutrition health as well. So I do think I'm going to be trying her probably the omega-3 plus the vitamin D3 and the K2 supplement very soon as well. I like her collagen. So I'm not a coffee drinker. I know a lot of people, when they take the powdered collagen that you put into a drink, a lot of people will put it into like a coffee because it might have a slight taste. And hers actually tastes really good. I just put it into my regular water and it has a little bit of like a berry flavor to it, but it tastes good to me, and I'm very picky. So, for me to be able to drink that without having to add anything else to it, I really like that. I've done several other collagens too. I'm trying to remember the name of the other one that I've used. It's in a blue container. It was like a lemon lime flavor. I didn't care for it, so I would always add it to water and then add a Crystal Light packet, like a lemonade packet in there as well. And that was completely tolerable. I honestly feel like they all do pretty well. But you can definitely do some research onto which collagen it is that you like, because there are differences in the whole, whether it's the bovine versus I can't think of the other. Anyway, do some research on that, but definitely it never hurts to help to have that collagen supplement as well. So I like that. And I was just looking at her website just now while we're talking about this, and I see on here she has something about this M4 estriol. I can't say it. Face cream. And so I'm gonna dig a little deeper into that once I'm done with this podcast, because this looks interesting. I do recall listening to one of her TikToks talk about this, and that she uses this face cream that it really fights the signs of aging and helps with the elastin and the collagen, plumpness, firmness, all that good stuff. And so I am going to look into that. And so if I do try that, I will definitely let you guys know. So anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. This definitely went a little bit longer than I originally expected. It is definitely something different than I normally would do on this podcast. But hey, I said this is for, women in your 2.0 era, and that's the era that I'm in. And these are real things that we have to deal with. And so ladies, if you're listening to this and you're hitting around that 35 age range, look out for these particular these things that are happening to your body. Pay attention to them and have the appropriate conversations with your doctors. Seek out treatments, because the earlier you can start getting on something and dealing with these issues that you're having and these deficits that you're having in your body, the easier it's going to be to manage them going forward. So I love you guys so much, and I appreciate you so much for being here. So I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Mwah. Hey there, gorgeous, and welcome to the Influence Over 40 podcast. I'm your host, Annie Kilko, and this is your go-to podcast for navigating the empty nest era with confidence and entrepreneurial spirit. I'm that crazy dog mama adjusting to life after kids and quite honestly, still trying to figure out what I want to do for a living. I'm a former boutique owner and seasoned mompreneur, and this show is dedicated to empowering women just like me, over 40, to embrace their unique journeys and thrive in the digital age. Join me for inspiring discussions on confidence building tips, mindset work, social media strategies, and how to be successful as an introvert and essential business tools. I'll also give you the real scoop on whether I think the latest and greatest digital way to make money is the real deal or a huge waste of time and dollars. Whether you're looking to reinvent yourself or take your business to new heights, I'm here to help you chase your dreams and be unapologetically and authentically yourself online. Follow the Influence Over 40 podcast and don't miss out on all the valuable tips and tools to make your business journey and 2.0 era easier.